Yeah, if you could turn up on time, that'd be great. Like, I'm just sick of waiting around with you, right? It's like I had a really good intro planned. And, we're live. Good evening. Welcome along there to the show. How is everyone out there in the internet land? I hope they're all doing grand. I've actually reversed my camera tonight, so if you see me looking in the wrong direction, I'm not. I'm actually looking in the direction I normally look in. I'm just looking in a different direction, just for a bit of a change in terms of what's going on. Of course, this is the Winners and Losers show. Literally, it's the Winners and Losers show, where I've got Davo on beside me tonight. And Davo, you're just there, buddy. See, by reversing the camera, there's no messing around with the fingers. There's Davo there, and then below me is Pete. How you, Pete?
All good, mate. You all right?
Beaming, I have to say congratulations to Spain on phenomenally better internet than they had 3 years ago when you made your Trippers debut, and you used to hide.
I just have more money now.
All right. Now, are you still in a wardrobe? And do you still get hit? Do you still get hit with a saucepan off your missus? Do you remember that?
It's a more expensive wardrobe now.
That's grand. Good stuff. That's good to hear. Yeah, Pete, how are you getting on?
All good, buddy. All good.
Yeah.
No genuine complaints.
Have you got your winners and your losers ready to rock?
I do have my winners and losers. And I hope Davo does. I saw the preview, saw some interesting stuff. So I know Davo will have some keen insights, and I know you'll have some good stats for us.
I've no stats. I'm not going to lie about this. I saw no football this weekend. Folks were up from the country, and we're having our annual barbecue. In the back garden, because it was summer again in Ireland, which made a huge difference to what the weekend was like. And yeah, then there was plenty of college football, which is fantastic. It was crazy. And then the American football was on Sunday, which is it's literally by far the best spectator sport around at this moment.
Thanksgiving and all that. Yeah, that's more your thing, isn't it?
No, that's November, P. You need to get your dates right. You know what I mean? Like you're too busy attacking everyone online. You need to start just absorbing yourself with the way.
Phil really enjoyed Sunday because the Bears played on Thursday, so it made it.
The Bears.
It made Sunday a lot easier.
I won. I was delighted with that. First time in nearly a year they've won, like literally a physical year that they've won. So it's great. It's great to not have to carry about what was going on the weekend. And then it was crazy. Plenty of craziness. Davo, good evening to you. How are you getting on?
Grand, Phil. Not a bother. Same as Pete.
Yeah.
No real complaints. Would have liked us to hang on for the win on yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. But we probably didn't do enough. So that's it. Take a point and go. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, there's Kev O'Sullivan. Balmy 24 degrees Celsius in sunny Cork today. That's a pity you're in Cork, Kev. If I'd said anywhere else, I thought it was that's lovely, but look, that's a pity about that. I feel for you. We'll send down some help to get you out of that place. It's horrible. Anyway, that's about it. So we're on to the winners and losers. Let's worry about what's going on in the world of football, and you can bring me up to date on the very interesting things that have been happening. I did when Gav said to me, "Are you coming on tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, go on." I did pick out a few things that interested me, and we'll come around to them later on. And of course, we'll have our surefire rapid 3-minute ends at the end, to pick out all the winners and losers that we forgot. So tonight I'm going to start with Davo. Give me your loser of the week.
Oh, do you know what? My loser of the week, right? I try and think outside the box a little bit rather than like a team who won or a team who lost.
Shouldn't.
Blah, 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 blah. But do you know what? My loser of the weekend, actually, this weekend, is Alexis McAllister. And the reason for it is...
Interesting.
Right? And this is not because I think he's a shy signing or a shy player or anything like that. I'll caveat all this by saying he's playing out of position. He's not a 6. I'm not on his own anyway. He's not a 6. But I just think for me, Sunday was kind of kind of a build up, and it kind of came to a bit of a crescendo. I was kind of watching him since we signed him, thinking, am I the only one that's kind of not overly impressed there? Because he's coughing up. I just think that he's coughing up an awful lot of possession for someone in a 6 in his own. It was not about the goal the weekend. There was plenty of playing to go around between the Alisson and Van Dijk as well. There was enough playing to go around there for the 3 of them. And obviously McAllister was involved himself. I've just been a bit meh with him since he's come in, to be honest with you. I do think he's a very good player. As I said, he's playing out of position. But I've been kind of alarmed the amount of times he's coughed up possession and put us under the pump in games a few times. And it's probably against, listen, you get away with it when you're home to Bournemouth, etc. But in games where Brighton, geez, there was times yesterday Brighton were just fucking ripping us a son that cutting through. He was getting caught out of position. There was gaps everywhere. He was getting caught out of position. Too lax in the ball. And look, like I said, it's just something that was me for the last few weeks. I've been kind of sitting there going, am I the only one who thinks this, or am I fucking wrong? What's the fucking story? But I've just been a little bit underwhelmed by him, and yesterday I was as well. So I just went for him as kind of loser of the week.
Okay. P.
Yeah, you'd have to agree. I mean, but in fairness to the lad, he isn't a 6, and I don't think when we signed him, anyone went, yeah, there's the replacement for Fabinho. For me, he's an 8. You know, he carries a ball pretty well. You know, he works very hard. He finds fellas. You know, he's pretty creative from deeper positions, but certainly not 6. You know, definitely not. I think, and Davo, in fairness, made the point that he is being played.
He's being played out of position with caveat at all. By that, you know what I mean? It's just.
Well, I mean, I'd be more interested. I'd be more interested in looking at Endo and saying, listen, just play him there. Let him sit there and be disciplined, if that's the thing, you know. But it's obvious that we probably are. Endo was a stopgap. That's obvious. You know, we're probably looking at maybe that Brazilian boy that seems to be dying to get across to us, but he's playing in that crazy tournament that goes into November, December. So they wouldn't let him go. So for me, you know, it's probably one of those things where you're trying to. I don't like when Liverpool do it, but they're so insistent on that's our man. We have a man, and if we absolutely have to bring in somebody, we'll just bring in someone that we know is going to do a decent job, but it's not going to really be what we want. And we'll just flood the pitch with others who are decent, like almost like you're playing a video game. And that's unfair because I mean, Jurgen Klopp knows far more than I'll ever know. And he knows what he's doing. But out of possession, you're right, Dad. You hit the nail on it. Out of possession, we looked all over the place. I mean, they were playing through us for fun at times. Brighton, and you surprise yourself. I'd almost be tempted to push a defender forward and say, listen, can you try and do that job, rather than get annihilated at times by Brighton, you know, by the how fast they move the ball and how the little triangles that they made us look amateur at the time. So I'd agree with you, to be honest.
Well, I'm not going to go off what happened at the weekend.
Yeah, but you've seen enough from the start of the season to.
But this is my point. I think he's wrong. I think you're flat out wrong. I think it was initially we were asking him to play a bit of something different to what he was playing at Brighton, in terms of that they wanted the two lads, him and what's your other man's name? That escapes me at the moment. Not Endo. The other fellow we signed, Zabazulai, right?
Easy for you to say.
But like, essentially, he's been asked to play as a more athletic version of Thiago, right? That's what they really wanted him to do, and he hasn't been given the opportunity because we hadn't signed Endo. They're obviously still acclimatizing him to the league in terms of what it is. And a bit like what Klopp has done on many occasions is he's happy to ask a fella to play in a slightly different position to what he's used to when he comes into the club. He never seems to buy a round peg for a round hole. He always likes to buy an oval-shaped peg and then make the hole oval, as opposed to going the simple route, right? So, again, there is that level of acclimatization where he plays on the pitch, has a much more propensity that if he doesn't get it absolutely perfect, it leaves the team open. And the fact that our defence hasn't been, and I still don't think hasn't been anywhere near the levels they've been for the past 2 or 3 years in terms of defensively sound, makes it look more obvious that he seems to be struggling a wee bit. And I'd go the opposite. I don't think he's actually struggling. I think he's playing really well. I think he's just playing really well in a different way. And like the idea that we put a defensive midfielder in and free him up to go, I'm sort of going, there doesn't seem to be a straight tactical position that Klopp wants any of the midfielders to look in. If you look at Szoboszlai, he plays everywhere. He's everywhere, right? His true function is at the top end of the pitch, but he covers so much yards in terms of covering players and when Trent steps in and all that type of stuff. That I think sometimes we miss his influence. I think in McAllister you have a potential ball-playing midfielder who can be as influential from deep as Thiago on his best days, right? And we forget that we have Thiago as well. And I don't think you need a DM. I think this absolute desire to have a DM is mad, because it's an old way of football. We're trying to create something different and reinvent ourselves and create something that teams haven't dealt with before. And I think we just have to believe in the process. I saw a great article at the weekend which suggested that this is Liverpool in 2016 to 2018, just before they became that great side again.
Yeah, a little bit unsure. Yeah. I see what you mean.
And at the end of the day, think about it like this. Last May, we had Fabinho, Henderson, James Milner, Thiago as more or less as the first choice for midfielders, right? We've had no continuity in that midfield. So for it's a little bit disjointed, it's to be expected, because they're basically blooding every single combination they're putting in that midfield is a different combination to what they had. And they're only building up a bank of games that they haven't had before. I think personally, I think Gravenberch and him alongside each other will be a lovely sort of axis, because both can do a little bit of both.
He's probably not going to do that though, is he?
I think he will. I think he will. I think he will, Shane. It's a bit like when he used to play the Brexit midfield and people couldn't figure out what was going on, right? Because he'd play Milner, Henderson, and Wijnaldum, right? And people would lose their shit over it, like, you know what I mean? And we're saying, why isn't it Fabinho, blah, blah, blah. But it had a function and it had a thing. And I think that's what he's trying to build. I think he's figuring out himself where's everyone's best positions and where can they influence the games. Go back 2 or 3 games and McAllister spraying balls from inside his own half cross, and we're going, isn't this amazing? Look what a midfielder is. So
but it's when we get attacked on, Phil, and like you were talking about like an old way of football. Well, look how City fared out without their best player. Like Rodri is their most important player.
And you're going to make
everyone will say their best player is De Bruyne. I think it's Rodri. Every time I watch him play, he's their best player.
Yeah, do you not think
he's out of the team and they're lost without him? Same, Arsenal spent 90 odd million on Rice at that totem pole holding midfielder. And like I said to you, I think McAllister's going to be a great sign, and like there was times he does very well with a goal yesterday. He does like he's been, like you mentioned, other games there, he's been spraying balls around. Great ball against Chelsea to get the attack on for Diaz's goal, but I just think he's been coughing up possession too much, and he's been leaving a lot of gaps all over the place. But we take all the points out, Jamaica, they're learning, they're on the job, etc. It's just I've been a bit underwhelmed by him, that's all. And I disagree. I think you do need a kind of specialised six.
Do you not think, Shane, though, when you lose a player like Rodri, that's why I was going to talk about Pep as my loser later on. When you lose a player like Rodri, you got to think you've got an out-and-out centre forward in Haaland. And instead of, I really expected Pep to maybe pack his midfield and almost go with no centre forward, leave Phil Foden maybe to do that job, kind of hanging off midfield. Do you know what I mean? Almost like that false play, because you lose so much when you lose Rodri out of position. Not that they're out of position a lot, but with Haaland being such an out-and-out centre forward, you know, they've got that conventional midfield without somebody to kind of protect them. I mean, Fernandinho was so important, and now Rodri is even more important. Without him and with Haaland in the team, I just think you're losing a lot. You know, and Arsenal, if you're the Arsenal coach, I think keep it tight, and we'll get our chance, especially at home. And listen, we'll talk about that later, why I thought Pep is the loser of the week, for those reasons that you just hit, you kind of hit in the head, you know. I just think he missed a trick. He missed one of his own tricks, if you follow me. That's used to be something that he would do. He'd leave Aguero out in the old days completely when he knew that he didn't have a Fernandinho to kind of say, we're going to shut up shop here, just to absolutely bore the opposition to death with possession, and then get a goal from Silva or young Foden or somebody just to kill a game, you know.
But going back to McAllister and Liverpool, we don't play, and we never have under Klopp, a standard formation. Like there's Kev saying we played a 4-4-2 diamond. Get up the yard. This isn't FIFA, right? It's like at our best, we played essentially with 5 up front, 2 at the back, Fabinho dropping in between them, and other fellas running up and down the pitch like mad things. I think we're trying to do something which is to narrow how we play, to create more opportunities up the top end through width by getting the Diaz fella and Salah fella wider than they normally have played. And then creating counter attacks, which looks to free up Salah coming into the middle like he used to do before, because teams have stopped attacking us. So it means the counter attack opportunities have reduced in terms. So you've got to build all your stuff all the time. So, like, I don't like the Trent going into the centre midfield. I'll be straight up about this, right? I don't like it. I thought it had served a function last year when the midfield, but there's no function. It doesn't really serve a function this year. And I'd much prefer them to see how they go with this thing. And actually, to be honest with you, I think Bajcetic has been overlooked. I hope he isn't just another injury table fella, because I think he's a smashing player, and I think he's a really, 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 really strong contender for making this whole thing work in terms of what the midfield looks like, because he's not just, again, like McAllister, he's not just pigeonholed into he sits in there, but he's probably the best defensive-minded fella out of the midfielders we have. And the other side of it, I'd say, Davo, as well, like, you look at Saturday, and I questioned the team selection on Thursday evening, and we're playing against that whoever they were.
Union Saint-Gilloise, yeah.
Union Saint packet of cigarettes from France in 1926, and it was, I don't know. I just, like, again, that Europa League, I don't want to see any fellas that are going to be playing.
Phil,
I'm not having it.
No, look, we all say that, Phil. We all say that, but it just doesn't work like that. Not for Klopp. Not with the manager.
I know, but if you're going to talk about it,
look, the way I looked at that was, Phil, is right. Salah misses a sitter. Well, a sitter for him, you expect him to score. Nunez misses an open goal, and we go in 1-0 up. If them two go in, you're going in 3-0 up. Then, but he obviously took them off anyway. They were pre-planned subs. He wants to get this group won and put to bed early as possible, and he wants to get games won in the group early as possible, just so he has that bit of leeway with it. It's not going to work like that. There's an extra Champions League place next year, Phil, on a one-season shootout for the two teams that have the two leagues that have the best coefficient over this one season, not over the last few seasons. This one season, he's not going to do it. He's not going to throw out. Everyone says it. He's not going to throw out a load of reserves and say, "Yeah, look at fuck them out there." And then,
but see, that's where you're wrong. They aren't reserves. We've got a bigger squad than we've had for a while. That can,
but look, we've Gakpo's injured and whatnot. Thiago's dead.
You're just making excuses, Davo. You're just making excuses.
I'm just explaining to you, I reckon, how it is. I know that Europa League, you'd rather fucking Andre Wisdom playing it and the fucking ghost of Thiago Allardi, but it's Klopp's not going to do that. He's not going to do it.
But I think there's enough players, enough quality players to play against a group of lads that play Tuesday and Thursday up at the Astro and then have a game at the weekend and don't even have a proper football name. Like, come on. Like, the fact that they bungled their way to a win against them just shows you how interested the first team players were in actually playing the match. They were trying to save themselves. I just think the other bit that I think that we've glossed over is that away from the midfield, lads, I keep looking at the defence, and I think we're I don't know. I just feel that we're short a
centre back.
I don't know. No, I'm just talking about a totem. I think Van Dijk is on the wrong side of his peak, if that makes sense. And I don't think he's a bad player, but he used to make up for an awful lot of the shortcomings of whoever was playing beside him. And it also allowed them to cover the fullbacks when they went. Like, if you think about the goals at the weekend, like, Robertson gets caught out terrible for was it the second goal he got caught out for in terms of what was there? But like, normally that's where the two centre backs and primarily Van Dijk could step in and either cut the ball out, win it, do something like that, and we didn't concede. We always seem to be conceding, and this is a trend that's gone on not just this season, but going right the way back. If you go back to last Christmas and before last Christmas,
I think he's being better. I take your point on yesterday, Phil. Yeah, absolutely, and you'd be hoping. Listen, Robbo is dreadful for it. Like, go with your right foot, go with your fucking left foot, go with any foot. Try and get something on it instead of letting it just throwing the fucking towel and letting it go by you. But I do think for the start of this season, look, we have been conceding goals, but personally, I think we've defended better. That's just then we have done last season. Now I know that's
last season we'd have been 2-0 down.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
I know you'd say that's fucking not hard because we were absolutely fucking woeful last year.
Mm.
But I personally think in the games this season we've defended better, and the 2 centre backs have defended better.
I don't know because we never have 2 centre backs. We're constantly rotating somebody in beside Van Dijk.
I think Phil, what you mean is maybe it's time to bring in a main man. So Van Dijk is approaching those late Hansen years where he was kind of Rolls Royce and didn't have that much responsibility, and something beside him that we probably need something more physical. And then Paul, don't get me wrong, Konate,
he's the captain.
Doesn't get more physical than that. But we need probably something that you're looking at as the main man. He's not. He's a beautiful player to watch, but there are a lot of mistakes. He's not. It's unfair the standards that we judge him off. It's
but Pete, okay, if Van Dijk is a diamond, then Konate is waterful crystal, beautiful to look at. But if you drop it, it smashes. And you can't. Like, again, if we've always said, availability is the best ability, right? And he misses. He misses an awful, and he does miss an awful lot of games. And this is like those signings we made in that period where we signed Thiago and we signed Konate and we signed Keita, and they probably averaged the season between the three of them when over the last 2 years, and that's my biggest worry in terms of. I think if they had a long time to blossom together over 20, 25 games where they're able to more or less stay intact, you'd have a great tandem. But my issue, as I said, it's not that I think Van Dijk is necessarily an issue. I just think that he needs somebody to be at a better level than what they are performing beside him, right? Yeah. Like when he brought Gomez on, I was just there going, this could end up 3-2, right?
Yeah,
I said this a few weeks. I said this a few weeks ago. The lads were giving him winner of the week and saying he's back and all this type of stuff. No, I said he had a good game that day and fair play to him. He played really well, but the fundamental weaknesses in Gomez's game hasn't gone away, and it's not at the level that we can rely on a week-to-week basis.
And Joe Gomez is one of those players that actually needs a run of games, and you can't afford to give. It's a vicious circle, really.
But do you not think that this is being a big blind spot since Trent got into the team?
Yeah,
we're never signing a right back. Like we've gone out and we signed Tsimikas, who's happy to stay and play back up and step in and all that type of stuff on Robertson's side, right? But lads, if Trent gets injured, look at what the options tend to be.
Gomez.
Yep.
Well, I think the Unfiltered was Clarkson was supposed to do that job, and he broke down just after pre-season.
And then there was your man that we signed, Calvin Harrison.
Calvin Ramsey. He's gone to Preston on loan, but he's back now because he's goosed again. He's
he's
a myth.
Terrible. I mean, it's his year in Scotland, the year before last or last year, then he comes here. Some fellas just can't take it. Some fellas physically. It's terrible, sad, but some fellas just cannot. Oxlade-Chamberlain was the best example. Some fellas physically.
No, he's not the best example. That was another fella who couldn't string 10 games in a row together without getting an injury, right? And guess what happened when he
can't take it physically. Can't take it physically. That's what I'm saying.
That was my biggest worry when we signed him. Was the fella couldn't stay out of the fitness center.
Why do you think it is?
Why
do you think it is? Why do you think it is that we seem to think as a club that a player had a bad injury record at his club, but sure when he gets here, it'll be grand? Why do we think? I don't know. I'd love someone to tell me why we think we can change the nature of the spots of leopards at this club. I really don't get it.
Give them. I'll get you a phone number. You can ring them in the physio centre in the club.
We've been doing it for years and years and years.
Give them a buzz.
It's bizarre.
I know, Andy. I'll get Andy to give you. I'll get you a phone number for the training, the actual training centre, and you can ring the lads and see what it is. Yeah, Kwanzaa looks pretty good. I agree with Dan Austin. I think he actually does look, but he's also very young, and you don't want to put that much pressure on a fellow at that age. And I want him to bed down at centre back. I want him to actually come through as a genuine centre back, potentially Van Dijk's replacement, because you're saving yourself 100 million there. We need a right back. We need somebody that's prepared to step up and put pressure on Trent as well. So it's all good, right? That was your loser, Davo. So Pete, give me your winner.
My winner was Arsenal.
Here I'm going to stop you there, right? honestly,
Yeah.
Arsenal
Yeah.
didn't win anything.
They beat Manchester City. They
This is like Tottenham celebrating like they won the league when they beat us.
No, listen. Last
Okay.
season they would have. They
I'm gonna look
came
up
into-
tires. I'm looking up tires here while you were talking. Right, go on.
fair enough. Last season they came into that game, that City game, flying. They were flying, and everybody was saying they're going to bottle it. This season the same. They came in not flying as they were last season, but everybody's saying they're going to be destroyed. And I tell you why they're me winners. It's obvious. Listen, I'm like Gav. No, I'm like Gav. I don't particularly like Arteta. He annoys me even to look at. I think I've never seen anyone to abuse the rules for a manager as much. I mean, he seems to go walkabouts wherever he wants. At one stage, he's off looking for a hot dog. He's on the pitch at one stage trying to kick a ball. He really, really bothers me. But for the same reason that I'm going to name Pepper's me loser, he's a winner. He spots a weakness. He knows that, listen, they're not going to be as effective in possession. If you can try to isolate, take advantage of that massive gap, between Haaland and everybody else, because Haaland becomes a luxury. Don't get me wrong, he's a goal machine, but he does become a luxury. And that's why I'm surprised at what Pep does. And he just decided to keep it tight and trade punches, sit back and trade punches with someone that he knew, with its side that he knew was disconnected without De Bruyne in it and was vulnerable without Rodri in it. And they were just going to take that chance. I mean, City had won. The only thing I won't say is a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Manchester City or Arsenal's defense and their goalkeeper, great call." Man City had one shot on goal, so don't talk to me about goalkeepers. But in fairness, you have to set up so that happens, and I can't remember the last time that happened. So that's why, for me, they got a spot on. They knew where City were going to be weak, and they just sat back and did what they did accordingly. Took the chance when it came near the end. You have to hand it to them. Winners of the week.
Davo, Arsenal blew the title last year because they bottled against every team bar Manchester City. Does that make games against City just completely irrelevant, even though they managed to win for the first time in about 5 years? Like, I remember when they hadn't beaten us for about 6 years and they beat us, and they celebrated like they'd won the Champions League,
as well.
And they've won nothing since. So how can this be? How could it be deemed to be winners of the week when there was so many better performances that went on? I'm told by the Premier League website here.
You're giving me all the hard questions, Phil. Well, look at they lost twice to City last year, and City won the league by 5 points. So I suppose they are important games. But look, I actually thought they probably deserved it, to be honest with you. Over the course of the game, I didn't think City just kind of fucking plodded along. I think it's the lowest XG since Pep went in there. They never got a sniff of never got a sniff near the goal. Your man Roya was actually ropey enough to keep her early on for Arsenal. He was ropey enough early, but they got a bit of luck at the end, deflected off Ake's face and went in, and they'll take that all day. But yeah, you're right, Phil. They haven't won it. They dropped off last year when everyone told them they're going to drop off, and they did fall away. So I suppose this year, they've added Rice, and I'd say they'll be in the mix. They'll be thereabouts again. So,
till April. They'll be there till April. The usual.
They'll be thereabouts again. But I don't know. I did think that I thought Saliba was brilliant. I thought about giving him winner of the week. I thought he was absolutely superb centre half for them. But I don't mind. I know you don't want them as winner of the week. I don't mind them being winner of the week now, Phil.
I think when you look at the league table, because it's in the games, and you see Tottenham are still top of the league, and they extended their lead, and they beat Luton despite having a player sent off, and you're picking Arsenal because they beat Manchester City to go into second place, and yet we're only 3 points off Spurs. I think performances.
We've played our games. The old what do they call it, Phil, in the NFL? The schedule.
Eases up now.
Yeah. It's the schedule that we've had. Ours
after this bye week, Davo.
After the bye week. After the bye week, we've Everton and Luton and a couple of Forest and a couple that we should be winning. But
you look at, and when I look at the weekend and looked at the scores, I was there going, well, there's Everton now. And we laugh at them and laugh every week at them, right, in terms of the absolute hack. And they managed to win a game at home. And not one of you has picked Everton as winners of the week. And they won, not just 1-0 or 2-0, they won 3-0, right? And they managed to
against Bournemouth, who are absolutely hopeless this year. I'm not having it from Everton.
But from Everton's point of view, they're the games they have to win to stay in the league.
Yeah, if in fairness, Phil, if Everton can play Bournemouth every week, they might be in Europe. But the problem is they won't. They'll go somewhere. They'll go to Anfield next week and we'll beat them 5-1. And the one will be the usual customary thrown in gift from someone, and they'll celebrate for years. And we will beat them. And we'll probably take 4 players after we need to rest for whenever. Because Everton are absolutely hopeless. Bunch of headless chickens. Your man Onana's a headless chicken. Jordan Pickford. Jesus, Phil, I'd have you now at 45 in goal ahead of him. He's terrible.
46. I can't even kick a ball anymore.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, they spent 20 million on a fella who couldn't hit the back door of a barn with a banjo. He's hopeless. It's like they want hope. Your man.
Is it fair to say, Pete, if you were called Peter Onana now, you change your surname at this stage after the 2 Onanas playing in the Premier League?
100%. If you want to be seen as a good player, you have to be called Dembele in these times. I think Onana is the new Dembele.
But I'm there going, like, even Brentford taking the lead at Old Trafford at the weekend, I was laughing my head off at another goal, because when they show it in freeze frame, you're there going, there's no way he's going to be able to concede this, and it still goes in. I think he's the best goalkeeper United have had in 15 years, and they should extend his contract and guarantee him a number 1 spot for a long time. I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed they haven't pulled the ripcord and asked the guy to come back.
Can I ask you a question as a goalkeepers?
No.
In his situation, Davo, Phil, would you want to be dropped? Do you think that fella is saying, please give me 3 or 4 weeks out? I think he looks to me like he just doesn't want to play. And would you be like, no, I'm going to get it right this game?
No, listen, he wants to play. He wants to play. Now, listen, he probably doesn't want to play behind Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, but he wants to play. Like, he does. He's got just gonna try and play himself out of the form. I didn't see any of the highlights. I believe he pulled off one very good save in the second half. The keeper at 1-0. So he might see that as a bit of a turning point. But I watched him a bit at Inter, and I was never convinced of his shot stopping. He is. Look at, obviously when you play out from the back, there is going to be 1 or 2 that always get away from you. But he is. Look, I think he is good with the ball at his feet.
It's like he has hands that, Edward, the forced hand that Vincent Price puts on Edward Scissorhands, and they're made of porcelain. It's literally like that, though.
I just think it's wrong. I just think that the wrong ones turned up at each club. I think the fella who's meant to play in goal is playing centre midfield at Everton, and the fella that's centre mid is playing in goal at United. It's like, honestly, just because everyone keeps saying he's so good with his feet. Just thinking, lads, is he good at tackling and heading? Because if he is, you might want to give Sean Deutsch a buzz there. And the lads are just saying, I'm saying nothing. Your man, he's going, I'm getting 3 times what I'm meant to be getting at Everton, so I'm saying nothing. I'm going to stay here until they figure it out. No, it's can't be done. Right. I know you said Arsenal, and look, to be fair to them, fair play. I'm sure from there it's a mental relief. From their side, it's a mental relief to be able to beat Manchester City. But I'll be straight with you. I just don't see it. I don't see. The only way somebody wins the league this year that isn't Manchester City is if City have a truly bad season, right? Because even in being beaten by Arsenal and not doing much, they still, like Arsenal, it wasn't like Arsenal was battering them and they couldn't get out around half or anything like that. They just play that boring brand of knocking a ball about that nobody has any interest in, and hopefully get a cross into Haaland, and then Haaland just kicks the ball into the back of the net. Like it's actually FIFA in real life. Right, it was a
shy game. It was a shy game. Like the two of them. With the two of them after an hour, the two of them would have shook hands in a draw. It was a shy game.
Yeah. So it's like it's for me, that's where I am with it. So I thought it was a bit of a stretch to give Arsenal winner of the week. But yeah. So Pete, we'll come on to your loser of the week. What's your loser of the week?
Pep Guardiola.
Oh, sweet Jesus! Did you only watch the Arsenal's?
No, watch them all. Listen, and when somebody in the show says I gave it away, and I'll say it again: if you've not got Rodri, and if you've not got De Bruyne, you have 2 immediate problems. So what I'm doing, if and I really expected Pep to do it, is not play a centre forward, play a midfielder in that position and say, listen, we're going to try, because Arsenal are handy in midfield. They can ping about very, very well. So I'm going to try to swamp them and do what we do. And I mean, Holland, you just said it 2 minutes ago. It's like, not like FIFA. It's more like ISS Pro from 1998. You get down the line, somebody curls in a cross, and Teddy Sheringham or Alan Shearer just heads it home. That's what they're trying to do. But what they're losing their own identity. Sometimes even great players, and you don't fit. And I'll tell you why. I remember being here when Pep Guardiola brought in Zlatan Ibrahimovic at Barcelona, and Zlatan, one of the best number 9s in the world ever, and it just didn't work out, because even though he had 23 goals before Christmas, Barcelona were losing. They didn't have as much possession. They weren't what they were. And he knew that eventually he was going to have a great season, but that the team wasn't. And it surprises me. Now, and he's probably a victim of the fact that he wanted to play so much. He doesn't seem to have a choice but to play him when he's available. And I know you can kind of work yourself into that position. I thought at the beginning of the season when Haaland was starting to drop a little bit deeper, get more involved in things, that okay, he's going to change up his game a little bit, the way Alex Ferguson changed Andy Cole's game when he brought him in first from Newcastle United. He took 15 goals off his game, but made him a hell of a player. And I thought, okay, he's probably going to do this with Haaland, because Haaland is a big lump, and he seems to be, he can hold it up and he can run at people. So maybe his game's going to change a little, but he's still playing off the shoulder. And I just think if you play like Manchester City, you don't have Rodri, you don't have De Bruyne to kind of dominate, keep possession and get it back. It's like playing with 10 men. And I know it sounds ridiculous. Sometimes playing with an out-and-out centre forward can be like playing with 10 men. And I just think Pep going up against Arsenal, who are so good on the ball, who have turned sides over, I thought him of all people would see that. And you kind of knew it was predictable. It was predictable. And for me, that's why Pep, who should know better, who does know better, is my loser of the week for that.
Davo.
Listen, Haaland didn't get a kick yesterday. He didn't get a sniff. He was in Saliba's pocket, and fairness, Gabriel as well. He never got a kick. I think, obviously we spoke just for a minute earlier about, obviously they missed Rodri. Won't go into that again. I think he's their most important player, if not their best player. And a lot of people would say De Bruyne, who also they're missing as well. Bit of a mad decision playing him early in the season after him suffering such a bad hamstring injury in the Champions League final. And you would have thought they would have let him go up to speed. That seemed to be a bit of a strangle. But I personally think, listen, I don't watch them a lot, Phil, because they fucking bore me. I think you're right about FIFA. They kind of bore me a little bit. But I think Gundogan is probably the one attacking wise that they probably missed the most. He was the one, the third man runner coming from midfield. The amount of important goals, forced goals, from memory anyway, I could be wrong, from memory, that he'd always pop up. He might put you 1-0 up. He's a great eye for goal. He was kind of Lampard-esque the way he'd arrive into the box to finish it. And I actually think they're missing him, to be honest with you, from an attacking sense. Haaland is Haaland. He's not going to do a whole lot in the game, bar score. He's not scoring. I think it's won in his last 5 now. So he's not scoring. So if he's not scoring, he's not bringing a lot to the table. And they get unlucky with the deflection. But I do listen just from limited kind of watching them. I'm definitely not watching them anywhere near as much as I watch Liverpool. I think Gundogan is probably the one that I'm missing. And I agree with Kev. Kev had it up in the chat there earlier. You're obviously going to get a bit of a hangover after a treble. It's probably slightly to be expected. But you're right, Phil. I think whoever finishes ahead of them will win the league. But maybe they are going to have. I think it's the fourth time they've lost two losses in a row with Guardiola, is it? Look, that could be wrong. I don't need to stink. I didn't in his first year, but it's first time in a long time 2 league games on the spin that they've lost. So strange, kind of in this day and age. So yeah, look, maybe it will be one of them kind of downturn seasons.
I dislike Guardiola intensely, so that's why I'm sort of limited in terms of what I'm going to say, because I just have a natural bias. I've said before, I think he's a very good coach. I don't think he is what he's made out to be. I'll stand over it. He hasn't proven anything to me in terms of like his style of football is the style of football, but he's never show me when he does it with Union, St. Galois or whoever they are, right, and gets them to the Champions League final and with playing the brand of football, and we'll see that it's actually his coaching and his football that's the important bit, and not necessarily spending multiple billions of euros to bring whoever they want into whatever squad they want. And I just think the whole thing, like I dislike City intensely, and not because of the club as such, but just because of what they stand for. The same way I've no time for Newcastle. It's anyway. I'm really like I've said this plenty of times. If Liverpool were not had they been sold to another state in the same way things have gone on, I don't think I'd have any interest in watching football. To be quite frank about it, in terms of where it is, I just completely don't like the way where it's gone. It's corrupt. We've talked about it on the refs. There's all sorts of issues like it. Even to this, I'm amazed that Kovacevic should have been sent off 11 times. I never get sent off. Same referees are the fellas that are going out to the UAE and doing jobs on the side, and they'll be going into Saudi Arabia soon for just ahead of the Newcastle primetime matches on the Sundays as well.
Of course they will.
So I've just it's a corrupt game. It's a deeply corrupt game that's being bought. And the true competition is going out of it. So from my point of view, Arsenal winning is great from a competition point of view, because I think it opens the door. It does give the opportunity for teams if they can put a run together. And that's why I think from our point of view, not winning, these last 2 weeks have annoyed me more profusely than most weeks. So when you were talking about the loser of the week, for me, Liverpool is the loser of the week. By far, it's the loser of the week. They bottled a chance last week to put Spurs to bed. I know what went on with Farr and everything like that, but City dropped points against Wolves. And they didn't know, obviously, City were going to drop points against Arsenal, right? But you've got to take your opportunities. You've got to make your own luck. It's going back to making your own luck. And if you think about what we did the year we won the league, we didn't wait around for anyone and for results. We just pushed on. And I thought with all the disappointment of what happened with Spurs, everything that you would have saw that reaction on Saturday. And we didn't. It was so lethargic. So if we're talking about anyone,
Gravenberch is the one, Phil. That goes in a 3-1. You expect us to win the game. And listen, I thought he did very well when he came on. He was a bright spark in the midfield. But fucking hell, if he puts that in, I expect us to see the game out. And you're after getting 3 more on City rather than the one from.
And that's, I know we gain a point in them, but like we could have put another 2 on the board, right? And all of a sudden, because we're the only team that gives Guardiola the heebie-jeebies. He won't care about losing to Arsenal because he knows he'll beat Arsenal at the Money Stadium, wherever it is, right? That's the horrible thing about it. But when we're on our shoulders, his brain goes a different way, and we know that. And if we can get on their shoulders early, right, and show that we have that form that frightens them, that's when he starts doing all the mad things. And that's why, for me, we're the losers of the week, particularly. Like, I didn't like, again, slow start, conceded early. It's stupid. It's stupid that we have to concede early all the time.
Conceded in all our away games, I think.
Yeah, and we haven't resolved that, because that was the away form became. I know at the start of the season was a bit mad in terms of home form, but if you think about right the way through the season, we struggled with the away form. And I know what you said, Shane, in terms of, well, we've got these matches coming up, but those have been the matches that we struggled with last year to take maximum points. And if I look at the last 2 weeks, we should have beaten Brighton because there was enough in the tank, and you could see there was enough in the tank of the players when they did play properly for the few minutes they did. And I know it's what went on, but like they're going to be kicking themselves they didn't beat Tottenham now, that they didn't get the reaction that they wanted against Brighton. You know what I mean? And I thought again, playing against the Union St. Galois lads, bad reaction. At some point, they're going to have to show this reaction. There's no point saying we feel hard done by and all this type of stuff.
Oh, I agree with you.
You know, and I think maybe this international break for a change is coming at a right time for us, just to get them to take the emotion out of it and let them go away, expend whatever they need to expend, and come back and go at it with a fresh mind in terms of what's there. So that's where it is, and that's where I'm struggling to have Pep as the loser of the week. No matter what happens, he's lost 2 games in a row and he's still sitting there third. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very hard to do. But I've no interest and I've no love for Manchester City. In terms
no, God, no. How could you? Good you?
Now, Shane, I've flashed up something there that came in the comments, and I want to come back to you for your winner of the week because I think it was very pertinent and it was a nice one that just jumped in there. I said, this is a lovely
it was. Yeah, just seeing that there. Listen, my winner of the week is Brighton's recruitment team at the club. They just keep churning them out. I read an article there before they come on, and they basically just said the players that they go for around 3 or 4 points. One of them was stood out to me. It was like, the players they go for have little or no experience in the top 5 European leagues. And that kind of blew me. It was like, why? Drill money ball, Phil, as in, like in America, they look for undervalued players at the clubs they're at with kind of bigger than average or greater than average talent and go for that. But they just keep and by the way, this is going, they're after losing a lot of their recruitment to Chelsea from when Potter went. And they're still doing it. I think Paul Barber's the CEO there, and I think David Weir could be involved there.
David Weir is the director of football.
Yeah, could be involved there. But like, you could see it there. Like, Cucurella goes to Chelsea to have Estepinian moves in. Caicedo, they sign him, and also the thing, one of the pillars that they go for when they're signing players, they don't sign him for the now. So Caicedo came in, he went to Belgium on loan. Matoma came in, he went to Belgium on loan, your favourite club, Union Saint-Gilloise, Phil. Do you know what I mean? And when they're ready, they come back in. And Matoma's been ripping the fucking league apart. I thought Trent actually did well on the weekend. But like, then Caicedo goes for 100 million. They replace him with this fella, Baleba from Lille. And they just keep churning them out. And I just think it's unbelievable, and they're not afraid to take a punt. Only Chelsea since 2017 have signed more players than them, so they're not afraid to pull the trigger on players. And they get some of them wrong. There was one high-profile man from Alkmaar, Yakambash or whatever. He came in, he was brutal. They paid 30 million or something for him. Didn't work out, so they're not afraid to pull the trigger. They're not all £5 million signings, but the job they're all doing there, they all know what they're at, and they just keep, like, it's like another taxi off the rank. One fella leaves for 50 or 60 million. There's a fella ready to just slide in and take his position. So, that fella, thought that lad was good the weekend from Baleba. And then obviously the fellow who got the goal, he was the same. They signed him, sent him out to Belgium on loan. He came back in, and Dringe scores the other day, another young player, and looks like another really, really talented footballer. So, yeah, look, Phil, I'll let you come in there now. I was just looking at them going, fucking hell, he's got so many things right. But it's all down to the structure and the background. And I think Paul Barber is the fella calling the tune there. And they're my winner of the week, Phil.
P.
You know what? I very rarely disagree, and I don't not absolutely disagreeing with you, because there's no doubt in the quality, especially Matoma. I mean, absolutely outstanding. But I'm wondering of any of the lads that have left Brighton, have they set the world on fire anywhere else? I mean,
because you just read the comment.
No. Sorry, no, I haven't, but I will. But have they? Like, maybe it's cruel to pick on Caicedo, to be honest with you, but it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's like he's running it through treacle. It's like he looked to me like a 7-year-old child who just ran onto the pitch and somebody said, listen, go and have a kick about. He's not that well, to be honest with you. That's what Caicedo has been doing for Chelsea. And don't get me wrong, you can't look at someone like Matoma, you can't look at Evan Ferguson and where these guys have come from and say they're not good players. You just can't. Be ridiculous. Evan Ferguson in particular, to get any lad to get a hat-trick at that level and to be consistently scoring goals when called upon, there's no doubt in his ability. So I'm not saying, I'm not completely disagreeing, but I'm just wondering, is it not also down to the level of coaching that they've got there at Brighton as well? I mean, this fella De Zerbi is off the charts with the way he reads a football game. I mean, I don't know how many times you've watched a match, you, Phil, me, and went, I wish this manager would do X, Y, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom. He does it forced. And you can see that Klopp, he gave Klopp big problems. He's given everybody real problems. He knows. And in fairness, what came before him, Potter was the same. Whatever way they've got it set up as well. Is it not a combination? But maybe it's a combination of all three, and it just locks into place. The fact that the scouting is spot on. You know, the structure is spot on, but the coaching is absolutely spot on as well, to be honest with you. So I don't want to give too much credit to any one particular arm of that, but I think it's more of a combination, you know, and you have to have a shout for that with maybe Caicedo will set the world on fire at Chelsea. I don't know, but for me, I just the most impressive is De Zerbi. It's just, if you told me Klopp was leaving for the Germany job next month, but De Zerbi was going to replace him, I'd be like, okay. The show goes on. Okay, we're gonna get no names in, but we're gonna enjoy the ride. And you know what I'm saying to you? I just think I think the Amanda Zerbi is top, really top class.
I think Brighton are doing a great job. I think Brighton have done a great recruiting job and a talent identification job over the last few years. Phenomenal. But I think every now and then, one team comes along and blows it away. Leicester did it for a good few years in terms of what they're bringing in. Think about that. They're now in the Championship. Newcastle, when Alan Carr was there, or was it Graham Carr? It was one of them.
No, Alan Carr's the father. Graham Carr. Is it Graham Carr's the father? Yeah, Alan Carr's the son.
But Graham Carr was leading the recruitment, and Newcastle were signing lots of brilliant fellas and replacing them, and they had all sorts of fellas coming in and out, and they're able to move the squads around. But to make it to Champions League and to get, like, teams always make you open. Like, I think West Ham, I'm going to say it out straight, like, they have David Moyes, which probably holds them back a wee bit, but they're doing phenomenal recruitment as well over the last while in terms of identifying players that are taken down to a different level than they were before. And then think of Southampton. For up until about 2 seasons ago, Southampton were doing mad things with the recruitment, a bit like Brighton. Maybe not getting as high up the table in terms of where Brighton has landed, but like, again, they were signing some serious players that they were then selling on for big money. But those players they were selling on for big money were having big impact at the clubs they went to. If you think of it, we've signed Van Dijk, we signed Lovren, we signed Mane, just from Southampton alone. Nobody in the Brighton side that's been sold on from Brighton has yet had that level of success. So that's where my view is in terms of, I think you're right, Shane. I think they've had a fantastic recruitment policy and knowledge. And what will happen is other clubs will figure out what type of models and what type of recruitment and scouting structures they're using, and they will copy it, because that's what they did with, if you think about it, from
Chelsea are trying to do it.
Yeah, but from 2016 to 2019, that's the culmination of our peak period so far under FSG with Michael Edwards, and everyone wanted to utilise whatever methods and stuff that was there. And then West Ham went off and copied the basis for what was there, and took some of the staff, the lower level staff, to know what was going on. And then similarly, then they all go off in a different direction, and that's what happened. So yeah, it's great, and I think if we can learn from it in terms of how we recruit and how we sign players, then why not? And I think that, you know, it's always got to come up in a level. If you the one thing about Moneyball, which is different in football terms, is there's got those clubs that at the top cannot manage, will not get the bargains that the teams do, like that in a Brighton situation. Because
exactly, and you don't get the time to develop them either, Phil. You sign a player and everyone's screaming to play him and see him, and
but they also can't throw in a Baliba or whoever they are, right? A Matomo in, and then leave him there for 5-10 games. And if he has a great game, brilliant. But if he has a bad game the next day, you leave him in anyway. Because look at it, Curtis Jones can't have 20 minutes off in a football match without people going mental.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Harvey Elliott statistically is one of the best young midfielders in Europe, but people hate him playing in the team when he comes in there, right? So, you know, that's where the difference is in terms of where we are. I think we're very similar in terms of the Brighton model, and well done to them. I think that's a great show for winner of the week, because we haven't sort of focused in. But you could say the same. I'd love to talk about Aston Villa some week, because I think
you mentioned West Ham there a few minutes ago, and you mentioned Villa, and also you mentioned where we're going to sitting in the table after playing there. I think they're two of the trickier home games. You can have West Ham and Villa that were after picking up 6 points and stuff. Just a side there. We've had a tough old start, and the homes as well. They're two of the trickier home teams, because they're both in the top 8. I think West Ham and Villa at the minute.
The Laszlo Panaflex, Brighton have scouts for positions. They have guys whose job is scouting right backs and another for centre mids. Crazy detail. I think it's an embarrassment if football hasn't already developed this specialism in terms of their scouting piece. Because as Shane would know from our other passion in terms of the American Yankee throwball, they have whole departments for each individual position group, and it's not just and positions in there, and you have multiple scouts looking at these fellas. So
little statistics, I mean, it's amazing. And you're right, Phil. You're right. I mean, that's what I thought we were doing, to be honest with you, and we probably were doing with Michael Edwards. How many times, how often does he get tired? How often is he substituted? What is he like in that specific position? How often does he get forward? I mean, you're absolutely, it's embarrassing if you're not looking at those things.
Yeah. But it's a great show, but Lazo, because if it isn't, then we're saying we should be, because I think that's how you get back to where it is. Okay, so let's do the quick fire on the winners of the week. So I'll go because I've been thinking this. I think they're all saying about the results we've gotten out of tricky away matches so far this season. So we played Tottenham away, Chelsea away,
Newcastle
Brighton away, Newcastle away, and they're all put to bed, right? And I think that's the points total is great out of that. Regardless of what's gone on the last 2 weeks, I think the points total is great out of that, and it sets us up well for the run into Christmas and hopefully having you in a position where you want to be at Christmas time. So for that point of view and the results that we got there, then I'm all down for us having a quiet winner on that basis, but it has nothing to do with what the week went, because we blew a chance of taking 3 points from Brighton, 2-1 up. With 10 minutes left, you should be able to see out the game. That's how it goes. Yeah. Pete,
winner?
Quick one. Come on.
Quick one in terms of what, winner?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I think I'd agree with you. If we can just sort out the gimmies, we need to stop giving teams gimmies at the beginning of each game. I mean, it's basic stuff, schoolboy stuff. I don't know whether we're expecting. I don't know if it's a mentality. Usually is with us. Got to stop those sloppy 20 minutes at the start of games. Do something. Just keep it absolutely tight. We play the game. Whatever needs to be done. I mean, the 3-1 joke is a running joke now over the last 6 weeks. But Shane is right. If Gravenberch took his chance away, it's another situation where we've given a goal away early, and we've run out 3-1 winners. Let's stop with the one and try to go back to what we did in 2020, and that's just steaming through. Not be pensive at the beginning and waiting for teams to come at us. I don't know what it is, but I think with the run of fixtures that we mentioned earlier on that we have over the next 5-6 weeks, is a chance to kind of lay down a marker. I mean, we'll smash Luton to bits. We'll smash the Blues. It's, there's winnable games against Forest.
You don't really get the idea of quick fire round. Davo, give us another quick fire winner of the week.
I go James Maddison. I watched the game. Spurs were down to 10. Lovely bit of skill to set up the goal, and he's been really good for him. Really good sign of him. Yeah, lovely bit of skill because
I like that. I like that because we don't do enough players on this thing. It's always teams and stuff like this and going very macro. Sometimes you need to go micro. One of my losers of the week, referees, completely incompetent. The amount of mistakes that they're making, you could have had a whole show across the board of how bad they actually are. And then the joke that they're saying that your man Darren England can't referee Liverpool matches, it's basically an acceptance that the chap is either biased, incompetent, or both. Absolute mare. The only way that something happens is there has to be change, and they need to sack Howard Webb just for the crack. I'd be happy enough. Hacking Howard Webb would make my couple of months. Won't make any difference to the abilities of the referees, but that's what it is. So that's one of my losers of the week. Referees, VAR, and their inability to be what they are.
I'll give you a loser for the same game. Basuma gets a yellow card, and then 5 minutes later, one of the worst dives you'll ever see. And unfair, you're slagging the referees. In fairness, I'm not sure you see it an awful lot, but sent off for the dive for the second yellow. It was the most blatant and fucking worst dive you will ever see. Sent off, easy for me to say, put Spurs in the shit, and then Maddison bailed him out with a lovely bit of skill.
Pours in the pit. That's the fantastic bit that goes on there. P, quick loser. Let's go.
I'm gonna go Ten Hag again for leaving out Scott McTominay so much, and then the lad comes in and saves his bacon. Whatever. If Eric Ten Hag says the grass is green outside your house, take a look outside. because it probably isn't. I mean, McTominay is one of his least favorite players.
You really don't get quick fire, do you? Like you literally don't get quick fire.
Ten Hag.
You have to.
Ten
it's
Hag.
like
He loses when he wins. Even Ten Hag.
I'm just stunned at your inability to understand and comprehend quick fire. For me, another loser of the week is poor old Lionel Messi. Made his comeback from injury and didn't manage to beat the mighty Cincinnati of FC or whatever they're called, the Cincinnati Bear people. Bengals. Didn't beat the Cincinnati Bengals at all whatsoever. And yeah, that was definitely a disappointment to it is. And quick winner of the week, Taylor Swift again for turning up at Travis Kelce, and then Kelce getting injured, and then magic sponging him back to life, so he comes back in and plays again. So it's not the Premier League.
I love Taylor Swift now.
Magic.
I don't like her music, but I love her. She going out slaughtering Donald Trump. We like Taylor Swift. Go on, Taylor.
Honestly, had you said that saying about 10 years ago, that would have been completely different in terms of the meaning that you just talked about there. That's all I'm going to say, right? You just said that Taylor Swift went out slaughtering Donald Trump. That's enough for me. That, Pete, you've gone out there. I don't know whether you're a loser or winner of the week at all. It's absolutely disgraceful. Loser of the week, Chris says, Spurs, just do a quick Spurs away kit. Was that bad? I didn't say it.
Yeah, it's poor.
Yeah, it's kind of was it grey or something like that? Is it? Yeah, I didn't really notice, to be honest with you.
One of these Tord kits, you know.
All right, grand stuff. Right, just want to thank everyone for jumping in the comments tonight and reminding us of a few things in terms of what it is. Fantastic stuff. Great to see all the old names and stuff like that. Gav said last night he announced that he's doing a rebrand next week, so this is the last ever Winners and Losers show. I don't know what it's called next week, but you know me, I'm still talking about football in the world and that type of stuff. The World Games. You go watch football matches in Lansdowne Road, and that's how it is, right? The city of Manchester Stadium, because that's what it was when they opened it and called it that. So those things don't change. So we can
Money Park. You called it earlier on Money Park.
Money Park City. In the lack of Money Park, they need to get Gary Neville back in to get rid of this. Right, that's it. That's been your show. That's been Davo. That's been Pete. That's been me, Phil. Good night. God bless you. Talk to you next week.
Football in the world.
Hang on. We're still live, you muppet. Hang on. I haven't hit end